Good morning, Pioneers. My name is Connor Morrison.
My name is Chelsea Colvin. Welcome to the Grid.
The girls wrestling team won their state title last weekend. Freshman Kenzie Carter and senior Soraya Mahmood were both state finalists out of 28 total state finalists.
Junior Lydia Henrique and senior Cassidy Guerin both finished third place with pins against their final opponents. Senior Josie Nikoloff finished her fourth trip to state and her first podium, earning sixth place.
Sophomore Peyton Johnson went 1 for 2, while Elena Smith, Lucy Scheibeck, and Jenny Haracha Arianos competed hard in their state appearance.
Tonight, boys lacrosse kicks off their season against Delaware Hayes at home at 7 o'clock. Good luck on your season, boys. Now, let's throw it over to Kylie with the Cinderella stories about March Madness.
Thanks, guys. With March Madness closely approaching, I decided to take a look into 4 teams which I believe could be Cinderella teams this year. I have this beautiful award which I will be presenting to the winning team.
Now, let's get started with our own brackets. We'll start off with the UConn versus Stenson game. I think this is pretty easy. We can just take UConn there.
Yeah,
we don't really have to even explain.
I mean, the old champs last year.
Yep.
FAU versus Northwestern. Gotta go with FAU. Final Four team last year. They got a great coaching staff. I'm going FAU.
I think that I'm going to go Northwestern. I just think that FAU, they've kind of got the hype, and then I think they're going to kind of just fail a lot of people's expectations.
I mean, I disagree with that. I think that's a terrible take. But next up, San Diego State, personally for me, I think it's pretty easy.
Easy. For San Diego State, for sure. I like San Diego State. I think they've got a really good defense. I think that'll help them get to the later rounds for sure. Next game, Auburn-Yale. I think this game will be close.
I don't. Those smart fellows over at Yale, I got no chance on the Auburn Tigers. I got Auburn.
I'll take Auburn there too, but I think it'll be a little closer than you're kind of leading on. I think it'll be a good game.
BYU, the Mormons versus Duquesne.
It's a pretty easy matchup in my opinion.
I got Duquesne.
Really?
Yeah, I really do.
Really?
I really do. You know, they went out there and beat Dayton earlier this year. Mm-hmm. And Dayton, they got Deron Holmer, and he's a great player. So I got Duquesne here. Upset pick, personally, for me. I got Duquesne.
All right, well, we'll see. I know some other people that have said Duquesne's going to win it, but I can't get behind that. I really can't. Next one, Illinois versus Morehead State. Another pretty easy matchup. It's Illinois.
Give me the Fighting Illini. Come on now. This is light. Although, they should not have won the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah.
Ohio State was unfortunately knocked out by the refs, and it was harsh to watch. It was painful. It was almost as bad as watching my Ravens lose in the ASU championship.
This game, Washington State versus Drake, this is a pretty irrelevant game. I mean, whoever wins this game is getting eliminated in the next round anyway.
Give me Washington State.
I'm gonna go with Drake, just named after the rapper, just for fun.
You know, I like that. I do love Drake. All right, then we got Iowa State, who just came off of absolutely beating the Knickerbockers off of the Houston in the Big 12 championship.
Mm-hmm. That game, I really expected that game to be a lot closer. You can see now 34-23 in the second half. It wasn't even a competition for Iowa State. They dominated the game. So I think that Iowa State's going to have a pretty good playoff run here.
So do I. You know, their defense was amazing in that game. Then we got UNC versus
one of the play-in teams.
Yeah, one of the teams.
Whoever makes it, they play.
Who cares? NC's winning that one.
Yep. Easy call. Michigan State versus Mississippi State. I like Michigan State.
Yeah, Tom Izzo is going out there. Mm-hmm. He's getting that dub. He's got 55 wins, which is third in all of college basketball in terms of tournament wins for current players, for current coaches. Give me Michigan State.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and I think that there's a chance. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think there's a chance that we see an upset in the next round with Michigan State.
We'll get to that later.
We'll get to it later. Yep.
St. Mary's is Grand Canyon. I have not had any faith in St. Mary's this whole season. Give me Grand Canyon. Really? I didn't even know that was a college until this tournament came out. I had no idea there was a Grand Canyon college, but apparently there is. So give me Grand Canyon.
I think St. Mary's has got one of the best defensive basketball teams in the tournament. I think that's a pretty easy matchup for St. Mary's, but I guess we'll see. Next one, I like this one a lot. Alabama versus Charleston. I think Alabama handily wins that game.
Oh, yeah.
It won't even be close. Yeah. Alabama, debatably one of the best offensive basketball teams in the tournament. So I think seeing St. Mary's versus Alabama in the round of 32, defense-minded versus offense-minded is going to be a fun one to watch for sure.
Yeah,
I'm excited
for sure.
that game.
The next game, I'm excited for this one. We got Clemson, the Tigers, going up against New Mexico. Give me New Mexico. This is another upset. Yeah, this is one of those teams I think could really make a run here.
I like New Mexico. I just think Clemson is really overseeded in this tournament. They haven't showed a lot of really any good basketball team play that could put them farther into the tournament. I think that's one of the upsets that not a lot of people are going to be expecting.
Mm-hmm. And then we got Baylor versus Colgate. And 3 years ago, Baylor's in the championship. And 3 years ago, I thought Colgate was just a toothpaste brand. So I was unaware that it was a college, but I know it's a pretty solid basketball school. They continually make the tournament.
They've made it.
And they continually to lose in the first round. Yeah. And that will continue.
It's great for Colgate. They've made the tournament I think 3 or 4 years in a row now, but same story every year. They just get put against a high seed and lose in the first round. So pretty easy 100%. Pick there. Now, Dayton versus Nevada.
Man.
I know our homeboy Will Martin's not going to be happy with my personal pick. What do you think is going to happen in this game?
I gotta go to Nevada.
Yeah, me too, unfortunately.
Yep.
Sorry, Will.
Sorry, Dayton.
I think that they've really fallen off in the second half of the season. I think that they started off really strong. Obviously, strong enough to have a 7th seed in the March Madness tournament. But
not
in
strong
the second
enough
half
to go
of the
out
season,
there
really
and
just lost a lot of their mojo.
Yeah,
so I think that Nevada is going to be able to upset Dayton.
Then we
Sorry,
got
Will Martin, once more.
The Wildcats going against whoever LBSU is. Once again, another. Who is this?
Yep.
And Arizona's going out there.
Yep.
And they are tearing it up. They're going to tear them up.
Arizona, did they lose in the second round of the?
I believe it was the first. I believe they were a second seed.
I think a lot of people
seed.
will probably be fading Arizona just because of what happened last year. I think same thing with Purdue eventually. But I think Arizona's probably going to make a deep playoff run this year.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. And now we move over to the other side of the bracket.
South region.
Where things get just as interesting as they were over here. This is honestly the side of the bracket I think we really got to pay attention to.
Yeah,
more upsets, probably a more stacked side of the bracket. So let's get into it. We got Houston versus Longwood. Once again, who is Longwood? I don't know. But I do know that they are not going to be good enough to beat Houston.
Absolutely agree with that. Nebraska versus A&M, I think this game's pretty relevant, kind of like one of the other games over here. They're just going to lose in the next round. But I'll take A&M there. No real reason or rhyme for it, just picking them.
All right. Then we got another Big Ten team, Wisconsin versus JMU.
JMU, one of the most balanced basketball teams that there is in the tournament. Really low seeded at a 12. I think Kylie has some more information for us about James Madison. Let's throw it over to her.
Thanks, guys. Number 12 seed, the James Madison Dukes, started the season with an impressive 14-0 record, the best in JMU history. Mark Byington, the head coach since 2020, led the team to a program record this year and has been named a finalist for both the 2024 Hugh Durham National Coach of the Year Award and the 2024 Jim Fallon National Coach of the Year Award. The Dukes finished the season with the nation's longest winning streak of 13-0, according to ESPN. They also placed second overall in the Sun Belt tournament. Now back to the desk.
I think with that information, I think I'm really convinced to take JMU here. I think Wisconsin's on the upset alert, just like Clemson. I think they're overseeded in this tournament. Haven't liked them all year. So what do you think there?
Yeah, I think that was the icing on the cake right there.
Absolutely.
And so we got JMU going out there and beating the Badgers.
I think JMU maybe makes it even to the Sweet 16 in my opinion. We'll get there later.
No, that is not happening. Because next up we got Duke versus Vermont. Duke, come on now. What are we doing?
Yeah.
I got Duke.
I like Duke a lot. Obviously one of the most decorated college basketball programs, one of the most well-renowned. But I think that in the past couple years, they've really fallen off. I think there's a chance that Vermont is able to pull off the upset on Duke, but I don't have it in my bracket personally.
Nope.
I'll go with Duke there.
Then we got one that we disagreed with but earlier yesterday, Texas Tech versus NC State. NC State has more wins in the Wizards arena than the Wizards had this season. For any of the people watching at home unaware of this.
I was unaware of this.
Yeah, the Wizards have 4 wins. They only have 9 wins the whole season, and 4 of them are at home. NC State in the ACC tournament had 5. So that's a little sad, but also impressive for NC State.
Right.
So I'm going NC State with the upset.
I'm going to go with Texas Tech here, mainly because I think that Texas Tech is one of the most, they're one of the deepest teams. They've got a really good roster all around. Even that, 6-man is very good on Texas Tech, one of the best in the tournament. I think NC State is overhyped because of their win in their tournament. Which conference tournament was it? I'm forgetting. I'm blanking.
ACC?
The ACC tournament. I think they're overhyped because of that win in the tournament. So I'm going to go with Texas Tech there. I know that NC State's lower seeded, but that's kind of an upset in my opinion. Let's get over to Kentucky and Oakland. Easy one,
Kentucky, come on. But one of the best offense in college basketball.
Absolutely.
So that's
easy win there.
And we got Florida versus Boise State. I believe.
Yeah.
So I
like Florida. I'm going to take them personally.
Yeah.
I think Kylie has some information on Boise State for us. We'll get it over to her in a second. I really like Florida this year. I have them. I think that they're going to be making a deep playoff run.
I agree.
Before we make our decision for sure, let's get it back over to Kylie for some info on Boise State.
Thanks, guys. Number 10 seed, the Boise State Broncos. The Broncos tied second with Nevada in the Mountain West Conference. 6'8" junior Omar Stanley was placed in the Broncos starting lineup on December 1st. At the time, the Broncos only had a record of 3-3. They ended the regular season with a record of 19-6 and now currently hold a record of 22-10. They had the most efficient offense in the Mountain West Conference and are set to play the number 10 seed Colorado Buffaloes for the second time in program history tomorrow night. Now back to the desk.
I like the story there with Boise State, but I just don't think it's going to be enough to overcome Florida. I really like them this year. I'm going to go with Florida.
Same here. Not convincing enough. Then we
agree.
got Marquette versus Western Kentucky. Another team that I think could upset, and I actually believe this one also Kylie has some information on for an upset alert possibly here. So let's throw it over to Kylie again.
Number 14 seed, the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. The Hilltoppers have had a record of 22-11 so far this season. First-year head coach Steve Lutz is well known for leading Texas A&M in back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances in both 2021 and 2022. The Hilltoppers won the Conference USA tournament by a margin of 19.3 points per game, according to ESPN. They're also considered the speediest team in college basketball, according to Ken Palm. Now, back to the desk.
I like Western Kentucky, and I think that out of all of the really big upsets that we could see, I think this one is extremely likely to happen. Marquette obviously lost to FAU last year. I actually watched that game live. But I just don't think that it'll happen the same this year. I think Marquette will probably be able to slip through to the second round at least. And then, in my opinion, I think they're not going to make it much farther past that. But what do you think there?
Yeah, I definitely think this is a game to watch. There's normally one of these teams that loses. It's hard for me to, especially with how good Marquette has been this year, to give it to a 15 seed. It's very rare. I'm going to go Marquette, just the safe option. You know, I don't see, I think it'll be close. I think Western Kentucky has a chance, but I do not see them fully going through with it.
Absolutely. I agree.
Then we got Purdue.
Let's get to the Midwest bracket.
Yep, and we got Purdue first. I think they're gonna win their first game. They did lose last year in the first round, but I do not think that they're gonna do that again. Zach Edey is leading college basketball in points, so he'll probably have a great game as well. They're a good team. They're a little overrated, but we saw Ohio State go out and beat them, so they are beatable. But I do not think that they're going to lose first round again.
I agree. And then one of those relevant games, we don't really need to talk about it too much. Utah State versus TCU.
We got to go TCU here.
I'm going Utah State. No real reason for it. Just gonna give it to them. Gonzaga versus McNeese. Now this one's interesting. Gonzaga, again, one of the most well-known basketball teams in college, but a lot of people are saying that McNeese could be giving Gonzaga the upset alert. I think Kylie might be agreeing with that. Let's throw it back over to her one last time.
Thanks, guys. Number 12 seed, the McNeese Cowboys. Former LSU men's basketball head coach Will Wade recently signed a 5-year contract with the Cowboys. They have a record of 30-3 this season, winning all 18 of their home games. They're also the champions of the Southland Conference, and it will be interesting to see them play number 5 seed Gonzaga tomorrow night. Now, with all this information, I've decided to take the James Madison Dukes as my #1 pick for Cinderella teams. Now, back to the desk.
I really like that pick as far as James Madison being the #1 Cinderella. I think they're it's looking like they're going to make a playoff or a deep run in the playoffs this year. So we'll see how it goes. Where were we?
We were still on Gonzaga McNeese, and honestly, that convinced me. I'm going to take the upset here. That was a beautiful piece of argumentation right there, and I think that really convinced me. So I am actually going to change to McNeese here.
Okay. I'm still going to go with Gonzaga. I just don't think that the upset's going to happen there. I think it'll probably be close, but I don't think it's going to happen. Kansas versus Samford. Easy. Kansas. They've got some injuries, but I think they're going to be able to win that game. Mm-hmm. South Carolina versus Oregon.
Got an upset here, going with the Ducks.
Absolutely.
So this is Oregon, I think. I think they honestly could be a deep playoff team. 11 seed. Could be maybe a 16-8 maybe if they get lucky. But I definitely think they're going to win their first game.
Yeah, I think South Carolina is just overrated in the bracket. Once again, one of those teams that are seeded too highly. I don't really like them too much. I'm going to take Oregon there as well. Creighton versus Akron, another one of the Ohio teams, but I don't think they're going to, it's Creighton. Don't really have a whole lot to say there. Texas versus one of the play-in teams. Again, doesn't really matter. Texas is going to win that game easily, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I got Texas. Last year, they made it pretty far last year. I believe they lost to UConn, and still a great defense, great team, so I got to go with Texas there.
Yep.
And last one, I also think Tennessee goes out there and wins that one to finish off the round 64. So I think Tennessee will also win that.
I think some people are going to be high on St. Peter's because of their Cinderella story last March Madness, but I just think that it's very unlikely that a 15 seed is able to make a deep push into the playoffs 2 years in a row. So I just think that, I would agree with you that Tennessee is probably going to take that win.
All right, I think that.
All right, that's good for our first round. We'll be back with our brackets later on in the March Madness tournament. Thank you all for tuning in this week. Make sure to support your Nears in action. Once again, I'm Connor Morrison.
I'm just Culvin. Make sure to tune in next Wednesday for our specialty March Madness show, and have a great weekend. And roll Nears.